Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and I've got another 4K collector's edition from Scream Factory to review for you. Hey everyone, so thanks for coming back to the channel today for this 4K review. Today we're taking a look at Dead Silence, another new collector's edition 4K release from Scream Factory. I can't wait to talk to you guys about this movie, about the video transfer, the audio quality, packaging, special features, all that good stuff, and ultimately give you a recommendation on whether or not this one is worth picking up for your collection. So really quick on the movie, this is from the team behind Saw. That's James Wan, who you guys now know. He's gone on to do the Conjuring movies, he did Aquaman, he did Malignant, he's done tons of stuff, and Lee Winnell. So they did the Saw movie, and in 2007, they took on Dead Silence, and the movie wasn't a huge success at the box office, especially for like a horror movie from the guys who did Saw. Probably could have made them a little more money, but I think it's a pretty decent take on this like subgenre of horror. Like it fits in nicely with the rest of the stuff that James Wan has done. It has his sort of aesthetic to it. It's a nice entry in his filmography, but overall I just think it's a really fun horror movie, and that's sometimes a nice thing, because so much of the horror that's made today, and I love it, so don't get me wrong, is super serious, super dark, and that's why I liked Malignant so much. It's why I like a movie like Dead Silence. It breaks it up a little bit. It's a little bit more fun than something like a Hereditary, which I love very dearly, but sometimes is a little bit much for you on a Wednesday afternoon. So on the visuals for this movie, I looked on IMDb, and it was shot on 35mm, so that's cool. But it said it had a 2K digital intermediate, so I'm assuming that the previous Blu-rays that were out there were based on that. Scream Factory is saying that they have a new 4K transfer of this, so in my mind, although I don't have the full information, it sounds like they went back to the original camera negatives and did a 4K scan. Now, it's interesting because typically they would say that. Like they say that on their other releases, original camera negative, and here they just say new 4K master. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they took the 2K digital intermediate and they upscaled it for 4K. I'm not sure. I will say from a detail, sharpness, like that point of view, this isn't going to be a major change from the Blu-ray disc, and it really probably shouldn't be. It's not a movie that really was going to benefit much from the 4K format. It's not like this grand epic, it's a James Wan horror movie. It has his aesthetic. It has that kind of gritty feel to it. It wasn't ever going to be like a dramatic difference between what 1080p and what 4K could do for this. But where there is a dramatic difference is with the HDR. And this packs that HDR Dolby Vision that we love, and it makes a huge difference for horror movies like this, because horror movies, most of them, unless you're Ari Aster and you're doing Midsommar, they're dark. They're very dark, and the deeper black levels in the high dynamic range that the 4K format can give you make for a much better experience, because on the Blu-ray disc, some of those scenes may be a little washed out, or they could be too dark to make out. You could start to see some kind of cloudiness or some banding or some artifact. Like, it gets messy sometimes when it gets too dark. In the 4K format, HDR is equally, if not more important for this format in many ways, because for movies like Dead Silence, it is the biggest upgrade. It is the biggest reason to go to 4K, and that's the case here. It definitely benefits a ton from the HDR, and yes, it's a sharper image. Yes, it's more detailed. It has a little bit, better structure to it than the 1080p. You're definitely going to see that if you really look for it, but the big difference if you go head to head is going to be the HDR. Now, on the audio side of things, we have a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 track, which is very good. I'm not sure if they remixed this over what we previously had, but I will say it's not a movie that needed Atmos or 7.1. 5.1, perfect for a movie like this, and don't sleep on 5.1. I hear some people, it's a no buy, it doesn't have Atmos, and it's like 5.1 is still very, very good, and the majority of movies are only really mixed for that sort of soundtrack. So the 5.1 here sounds great. It has some really good low end, which is always nice. You got to have your good low end with horror movies, your bass. But it also has extremely clear dialogue, which I appreciate as somebody who's constantly fiddling with the sound on some movies where the dialogue just isn't clear. Especially a lot of newer movies have this issue, and I know it's been talked about, but If a track is well balanced and mixed right and has a high enough bit rate that you can make out all of these different channels and they're all equally balanced, your dialogue should never be an issue. And part of that could be your center speaker. Mine's pretty solid. It sounded great here. Thought the music was awesome. James Wan and his team, always incredible with the music. That's some of my favorite parts of his movies. Iconic scores like Saw, even Malignant had some iconic music moments. So I love what he does, and I love this release for audio. I love it for video. I think it's a decent upgrade over Blu-ray, and if you're a fan and you want to make sure you get the best quality, this is going to be it. Packaging wise, we got a slipcover here again. That's going to be like a first print run. Those do go out of print at some point, but it's got the sort of traditional Dead Silence artwork that you've come to know if you have any interest in this movie. Same on the inside. I think this is the poster art too, to be honest. And then popping it open, you've got a Blu-ray disc with the theatrical and unrated cut, and the 4K disc with the theatrical cut. So you've got both cuts of the movie on the Blu-ray disc, unrated, which it adds a little bit, it adds some more gore. It adds a little bit more James Wan to the movie, if that makes sense. Like, it goes a little over the top. It's already rated R. I'm not sure that adding those scenes back in would have made this like NC-17, but they are kind of cool to see, and it's always nice to get every version of the movie. So the director's cut's a nice addition. That's not remastered, but both the 4K disc and the Blu-ray theatrical cut are remastered with a new 4K. So those are both great to have. Now for features on the 4K disc, it's just that. It's a 4K disc, and they filled it up. It's got a very, very high bit rate, and it looks great because of that. So the special features are all on the Blu-ray disc, and they were done by a friend of the channel and the podcast, Justin Beam. Right here, what we've got is we've got that new 4K master of the theatrical cut. You've got the unrated cut as well. You've got a new interview with Leigh Whannell. You've got an alternate opening and ending, deleted scenes. You've got a making of featurette on the movie. You got Mary Shaw's Secrets, which is a fun little featurette if you want to dive more into the lore. You've also got Evolution of a Visual FX, which is a very interesting look behind the scenes stuff. If you want to get real geeky, that's a good place to start. And then the theatrical trailer, which I always appreciate, because I swear, like, trailers, yeah, YouTube has a lot of trailers, but they also don't have a lot of trailers, and they're such an art form in their own. I'm glad they're included on these discs. So overall, if you want the best experience of Dead Silence, highest quality video, best audio, best packaging, all the different cuts, all the different features, this is the disc for you. It's a good collector's edition disc. It includes everything you'd expect from a collector's edition. They don't short you on any of that. Now, if you have the Blu-ray disc and you don't feel like you want to upgrade it, it's not one of your favorite movies, that's decent. But keep in mind, they do upgrade this with the new 4K master. They do upgrade it with HDR. It does get some new features. It's a whole new package. It's not like Shout Factory or Scream Factory did this before in collector's edition. This is their first collector's edition of the movie. It's a package, I think, that if you love James Wan, you love his filmography, that you'll want to upgrade. Is it going to sell some of the average, everyday fans of Blu-ray? Maybe not, but that's not really what Scream Factory is shooting for. Their audience is hardcore horror movie collectors and fans who want best possible presentation and best packaging for these movies. And if that's what you're looking for, like me, then this is it. So if you want to buy Dead Silence, you can pick this up on Amazon. Use the link down in my description and the pinned comment. That helps support the channel, so thank you for that. And as always, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube so you never miss a review, a podcast, a collection video, any of that good stuff. Check out the Films and Home podcast. It's here on YouTube, on my podcast tab, and also on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your audio podcast. You can listen there as well. And follow me on social media for all the latest and what's going on in my life and the channel. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you all soon.